folks, AJ here. I do hope you are well today, and I hope the sun is shining, or if it's not shining, I hope your plants are being watered. Anyway, I hope this finds you well. If you are new here, welcome to my channel, A Royal Reaction. And if you are an existing subscriber, I really appreciate you. Thank you for being here. And yeah, today I am going to look at an article about King Charles meeting President Zelenskyy yesterday at Sandringham. So yeah, let's read this. This is the King's chance to leave peacemaker legacy he craves. The stakes could not be higher as monarch enters uncharted territory in rift between Trump and Zelenskyy. Yeah, so a lot of you may have seen the rift that went on at the Oval Office. Trump is the kind of, Marmite president, you either love him or hate him. But yeah, instead of going into that, I just want to say hopefully something good will come out of this. Like, I really believe in peace. I really want peace for Ukraine and for Russia. And, hopefully they can agree on something. It'll be interesting to see what happens. But yeah, here we have King Charles meeting President Zelenskyy at Sandringham. 5 years ago, before cancer, before Oprah, before becoming king, the then Prince Charles spoke of his hopes of being a peacemaker. I have spent much of my life trying to bring people together, he said. I try. After an extraordinary row at the White House, now finally is his chance to broker peace on a global scale, and in doing so, cement his legacy as King Charles III. Wouldn't that be amazing? The king, whether he entirely chose to be or not, now finds himself at the centre of a triangle that seems to hold the fate of the Western world in his hands. Donald Trump, Volodymyr Zelenskyy and Sir Keir Starmer. Mr. Trump counts the king as a friend. Charles has been a vocal supporter of Ukraine, meeting Mr. Zelenskyy and his wife twice before. Sir Keir, his third Prime Minister, sees him at least weekly for counsel. With the two presidents smarting from a showdown at the White House that horrified Europe and left Russian state media cheering, Sir Keir must now walk a diplomatic tightrope he could not have prepared for. A mediator is needed, and fast. The king, who is still undergoing cancer treatment, finds himself in the frame. It was only 3 days ago that Sir Keir presented a personal letter from the king to Mr. Trump, handing it over with great flourish in the White House. And as we know, Mr. Trump loves the king. He always says great things about the royal family. He's not been pleased with Harry and Meghan for the way they treated Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip. But yeah, let's read on. The moment was received as a triumph for the special relationship, with a warm 2-page letter offering the Trumps a trip to Balmoral or Dumfries House next time they are in Scotland to iron out the details of a future state visit. Beautiful man, a wonderful man, said Mr. Trump in response, after Sir Keir loudly spelled out the special and unprecedented nature of the offer. The answer is yes. From there, the situation has moved with dizzying speed. The next day, Mr. Zelenskyy, whose country and cause for the royal family has supported vocally and in person throughout the past 3 years, found himself in the same Oval Office chair in a shouting match with Mr. Trump. Their talks for now are over. Calls to cancel Trump state visit. Calls for the King and UK government to cancel the state visit before planning even begins are loud and growing. Sir Keir called the exchange uncomfortable, but said he had taken the decision not to ramp up the rhetoric, but to roll up my sleeves in response. Mr. Zelenskyy, who is in Britain for a summit with European leaders, said he was very happy that His Majesty the King accepted my meeting. The King and Mr. Zelenskyy were photographed shaking hands at Sandringham on Sunday. Yeah, and I watched this with my mum actually yesterday. I watched King Charles and Zelenskyy shaking hands, and my mum just puts into conversation, "Oh, we stayed there when you were kids, you know," and I was like, "What? We stayed at Sandringham? Really?" And my mum's like, yeah, we stayed there. You know, we were in one of the rooms, and we had like crockery with Queen Elizabeth II on it, and I could not remember, but apparently I was a little toddler. I had a little fishing rod, and me and my siblings were going around the lake trying to fish, and there was a lot of frog spawn all around the lake. So yeah, that's a memory I do not have. But yeah, lovely, my mum brought it up. So yeah, where were we? Mr. Zelenskyy said they had a very good meeting, adding, "We are grateful." As is conventional, the details of their discussions will not be shared. It is unlikely that much time was wasted in small talk, other than an exchange of good wishes about their health, and between their wives, Queen Camilla and Olena Zelenska, who have met before. There is little precedent there. Never in the King's reign, and seldom in the late Queen's, has a monarch been so publicly involved in global current affairs. Elizabeth II had her moments. She is often cited as a discreet, persuasive force in the ending of apartheid. She cherished her role in reforging the former empire into a family of nations as a head of the Commonwealth. Closer to home, the smallest of interventions ahead of the Scottish independence vote, she was heard to say she hoped people would think very carefully about the future, and a historic handshake with Martin McGuinness will go down in the history books. King dedicated to conciliation. For the King, things have moved much faster. The active decision made in discussions with Foreign Office and Palace advisors to allow his signed letter to Mr. Trump to be conveyed so publicly has propelled the King into the heat of the moment. But his supporters would argue he is well prepared. His long working life as Prince of Wales was dedicated to what the palace likes to call convening. Interfaith dialogue is one of his key causes. He recently hosted the leaders of all 4 nations, including Michelle O'Neill of Sinn Féin, the First Minister of Northern Ireland, to dine together at Windsor Castle. He has visited Israel and the occupied Palestinian territories, condemning the Hamas terror attack outright and handing out humanitarian medals to those providing relief in Gaza. He is always someone who wants to understand before he says anything. A senior palace source has said of the King, adding that he is a listener more than a talker, who is keen that difficult issues are not ducked. Now, I think that is really wise. You know, apparently, I think this is like a Zen Buddhist saying, or part of Buddhism, where they say, it's very wise to listen, because anyone can just talk and come out with the wrong thing, not make sense, forget what they've said, whereas the King is, he is a listener. He thinks, he listens before, he will put his own opinion across. It says here, he wants to help, he has said repeatedly, to make a difference. His time as Prince of Wales is remembered for his transformative Prince's Trust and his lifelong campaign to save the planet. If he deploys those convening skills over the coming weeks with care, his time as King could now see him as the peacemaker role he craves. Yeah, I think he would deserve that, to be remembered as being a peacemaker. If he can really help Zelenskyy navigate this, and I like that their conversations were private. And yeah, if we can have peace between Ukraine and Russia, you know, maybe the king will be seen as partly to have made this happen. You know, I think it's great that he met President Zelenskyy. I would have loved to be a fly on the wall to hear what they had to say to each other. But yeah, I'd love to know your comments. What do you think of all of this? Do you think the king can make a difference? Do you think he's seen as being a peacekeeper? Yeah, I'd love to know your comments. I hope you're having a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. Big kiss. Bye. Bye bye.